Ryan was on his way to meet his sister, Jenny, but his mood was anything but cheerful. He had made a promise, though, and he wasn't the type to back out. Once they settled into their usual booth at their favorite family cafe, Jenny immediately sensed something was off. Her brother looked tense, his shoulders heavy with some unseen weight. "Ryan, what's going on? Something happened?" she asked, concern written all over her face. Ryan sighed, rubbing a hand over his tired eyes. "Don't worry about it. Just little problems." Jenny narrowed her eyes. She knew her brother well enough to recognize that when he called them little problems, they were usually anything but. So she pressed him further. After some coaxing, Ryan finally admitted the real issue. His wife Lauren had been drowning in work, staying at the office late every night. By the time she got home, she was exhausted, irritable, and distant. As a result, they had barely seen each other, and Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that they were drifting apart. "Have you asked her what's going on?" Jenny asked. "Yeah, but she insists everything's fine," Ryan muttered, frustration evident in his voice. He sighed, shaking his head. "Maybe it's just a rough patch. We'll pull through." He sounded like he was trying to convince himself more than anything. Jenny, however, couldn't get their conversation out of her head. Lauren had always been so upbeat and full of life, and from the outside, her relationship with Ryan had seemed rock solid. Something wasn't adding up. She and Lauren weren't particularly close, but they got along well enough. Jenny decided to talk to her sister-in-law, but she had to be careful about how she approached it. A few days later, Jenny happened to be in the neighborhood where Lauren's office was located. She figured she'd drop off a few books she had borrowed from her, though in truth, her gut told her something was off, and she wanted to see for herself. When she arrived, Lauren was nowhere to be found. A colleague mentioned that she had gone out to lunch. Jenny left the books on Lauren's desk and made her way back to her car, but instead of driving off, she decided to wait. As she absent-mindedly flipped through radio stations, Jenny's gaze drifted toward the entrance of a nearby restaurant. That was when she saw something that made her stomach drop. Lauren was walking arm in arm with a man, tall, blonde, well-dressed. Their body language was far too intimate to be just co-workers or friends. Jenny sat frozen, gripping the steering wheel, her heart pounding in her chest. Then, as if sensing eyes on her, Lauren suddenly turned and spotted Jenny's car. Her expression changed instantly. She let go of the man's arm, her cheerful demeanor vanishing in an instant. Their eyes met, and Lauren hesitated for a moment before subtly pointing to her watch, as if to say, "I'm in a hurry, we'll talk later." Then, without another word, she disappeared into the building, the man trailing closely behind her. Jenny felt sick. So this was why Lauren had been so distant with Ryan. She wasn't just overworked, she was seeing someone else. Ryan loved Lauren too much to even consider the possibility that she might be lying to him. But Jenny knew she couldn't sit on this information. He deserved to know the truth. Without hesitation, she drove straight to his workplace. The moment she saw him, she launched into a hurried, emotional retelling of what she had witnessed. But Ryan's reaction wasn't what she expected. "Jenny, you've been saying for months that you need new glasses," he said, shaking his head. "Maybe you saw it wrong. You said yourself they were a bit far from you." His words made Jenny's blood boil. It hadn't even crossed his mind that Lauren might actually be cheating on him. "Ryan, I'm telling you exactly what I saw," she said stiffly. "It's your call what to do with it." And with that, she left, frustrated and hurt by his denial. That night, much later than usual, her phone rang. "Jenny." Ryan's voice was different, cold, serious. "Can you describe the guy you saw with Lauren?" Jenny's heart skipped a beat. "Sure." He was really tall, blonde, curly hair, and he was wearing a navy blue suit that day. Ryan was silent for a moment. "All right. Thanks." Then he hung up. The seriousness in his voice left Jenny unsettled. Ryan was never this direct. A week passed. She heard nothing from him. Not a word from Lauren either. Whenever she texted Ryan, he only replied with vague messages. "We'll talk later." Jenny tried to be patient, but eventually, her worry got the best of her. She called him outright, demanding to know what was going on. To her relief, he finally invited her over. When she arrived at his place, she immediately noticed something was off. The apartment looked bare, emptier than before. And there was a strange quietness that felt unnatural. "I'm doing great," Ryan said with a half-hearted smile. Then after a pause he added, "I'm getting a divorce." Jenny's stomach twisted. So, it was true. My suspicions. They were right. Ryan nodded and finally told her everything. The night Jenny had confronted him, he had still been in denial. But when Lauren came home late as usual, she was so tired that she left her phone in her bag while she went to brush her teeth. That was when Ryan saw the message pop up on her screen. "Thanks for tonight." His hands had gone cold. Acting quickly, he saved the sender's number and looked it up in a messaging app. Sure enough, a profile photo appeared. A tall, blonde man with curly hair. Exactly as Jenny had described. From there, it wasn't hard to piece together the rest. Ryan decided to follow Lauren one evening. He watched from a distance as she met up with the same man Jenny had seen, confirming everything. But he didn't lose his temper. He didn't cause a scene. He simply observed. Then he went home. By the time Lauren returned that night, she found her bags already packed, waiting by the door. She tried to deny everything. Tried to spin lies about how people were trying to slander her, how she was just overworked and still totally devoted to him. But Ryan just pulled out his phone and showed her the photo he had taken of her with her lover. That shut her up instantly. Jenny exhaled. "Wow. I can't believe she would do that. What about the other guy? Did you confront him?" Ryan smirked faintly. "No need. I let their boss know. Their company has a pretty strict policy against coworkers hooking up." He shrugged. "After that, it's out of my hands." Jenny raised a brow. "And his wife?" Ryan's smirk deepened. "Oh, I told her to." The two of them sat in the quiet kitchen, talking everything through. Ryan kept thanking Jenny, not just for what she had done, but for pushing him to see what he had refused to acknowledge. Sometimes, when you're so wrapped up in what you want to believe, you need someone to help you see reality. And in the end, Ryan realized just how lucky he was to have someone in his life who still believed in honesty, loyalty, and looking out for family, no matter how painful the truth might be.